Well, hello, everybody. I'm your host, Ed Parcaut of Helping the Brave. Let's bring in our guest today, Dr. Queen Williams, CM. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to say Dr. CM Williams, and that Queen just got me all stuck there.
It does that to them all the time. That's okay. Thank you for having me.
If you watch any of my shows, there's only one question I ask each show, and it's what service and why did you choose that service?
And I'm going to come back and you will say there's only one service, right? There's only one.
Army, right?
Only one service, and that's the Army. So, and honestly, when I joined the Army, because at the time that was like the only thing that I knew of, and that was advertised, was be all you can be in the Army. There wasn't a lot about Air Force or Marines or the Navy, and so I really got stuck. I'm like, okay, I want to be all I can be. So that's why I chose the Army and joined the Army.
Where did you join at? What part of the country?
I was in Miami. I was in Miami, Florida. And I was one of the crazy ones, raised my hand, who called the recruiter and said, y'all got to come get me, because if I stay here, I'm going to get in trouble. So that was out in Miami.
Did you join after college or before college?
No. So my story is a little bit different. I immigrated here from Jamaica. And when I first came here after I graduated high school in the Caribbean. And we tend to graduate a little bit earlier because we're on the British system. So I was 16 or so when I graduated. So when I came here, the hopes was to go to college, but I just did not feel prepared or ready for college. And we were looking at maybe doing track, because, they think everyone from Jamaica is fast and could run and stuff. So I looked at college for a hot second.
Every tall person should play basketball, right?
Yes. And I'm tall too, right? They actually recruited me for that at West Point Prep. So I'm 5'11", 5'10", 5'11". Wow. So, yeah. So I lost my train of thought there. We were
It's about joining. Looking for college, and
yes, it was not something I felt like I was ready for. Kind of a young teenager, and so I tried to actually do some jobs. I was looking for jobs in Miami. I worked at a restaurant for a little bit, and then this is not what I came to America for. And then I'd keep seeing those commercials over and over again. Be all you could be, and I was like, you know what? Let me take a stab at that. And so I did.
Wow. So did you go to West Point?
No, I did not. So while I was enlisted, and I honestly to this day don't know who put my name in, I was quite athletic. And I think somebody said, hey, you'll be great for West Point. So I went to West Point Prep, that was out in Fort Monmouth, New Jersey at the time. So I did that for a whole year. And when it came down to transitioning to go to West Point, they're like, wait a minute, hold up. You're not a citizen yet. And I was like, well, what gave me away? My accent, like I've been here for a whole year, ready to go. So I did not go to West Point, but I was being recruited for track and basketball at the time, but the coach was phenomenal. He helped me get a few walk-on tryouts, and I ended up going to Rutgers, which is still there in New Jersey. So yeah, it worked out.
Did you pay for your own school, or did you do ROTC?
Didn't. I did when I went initially for my enlistment, I did sign up for the GI Bill because I figured I'd want to go to college at some point. And I don't know if those were listening or if they still do it today. They take like $100 or $150 out your paycheck for the first 12 months.
Was that in the late 80s or?
Oh my God, don't try to age me now. I'm stuck at third in that.
That $100 thing, that only happened to us. That's the worst GI Bill there ever was. You had to match. They'd do 100. They'd match whatever you put in there, and by the time you were said and done, there was hardly any money left in there if you didn't put any money in. So.
Oh yeah. I think we matched was like 100 to 100. This was in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I did that, and so that was how I paid for that. But when I got to college, this was Rutgers University. That wasn't enough still. And I tried to join the CIA, believe it or not, but it took a while to get back to me because you know how it is. You get the short timers attitude. I'm not going back in the military. I'm done, So that was me.
All right.
You know, came out.
Go a second. You enlisted. What did you enlist as? We jumped right over that about school.
No. That's because everybody's going to not like it after I said what it was. 54 Bravo, nuclear, biological, chemical warfare, gas. Yeah. I was the one putting you in the room and throwing gas in there and pulling your gas mask off and being a meanie. Yeah, that was me. I did nuclear, which is now CBRNE. They've changed the name from NBC to CBRNE.
I'm Navy corpsman, and so we did that at Camp Pendleton, where I got stationed with the Marines. And then my son's in the Army right now. He is airborne medic. So
cool.
Yeah,
cool.
So now he's just a medic because he got tired of hitting trees with.
You have to know how to land on that stuff, or you could hurt yourself.
Sometimes then in Washington, he was up in Alaska, and sometimes that wind just blows you into things. You don't have a choice. So.
Oh yeah, can only imagine.
And he's like, I'm just done. I'm like, 22, you're done jumping. Most people aren't done right away, but anyway.
Yeah.
So I have Marines in my family. I have Air Force. I have everybody. So.
Okay. Yeah. No, I was like the only one. When I came back as an immigrant, no one really did, even though my daddy acted like he's a drill sergeant all the time. So boot camp was a little bit on the easier side for me because my parents were very strict. And growing up in Jamaica, they were strict. It's like really strict folks. So, going into the Army, and we were at Fort McClellan training with the MPs and stuff, the military police folks. It was fun. And I got in trouble for that quite a bit because I was laughing and I got challenged, and I have to do push-up every time I see a certain drill sergeant, and pushing Alabama off the atlas, they used to say.
All right, so you're enlisted for how long?
4 years.
4 years. Got out, went to college.
Yeah.
Got your degree. Did you go back in the Army?
I had to. So again, the GI Bill money wasn't enough. So I had track, and I did go back to ROTC because I needed more money. It's like, look, Ed, I was poor. It's like, I need money for school. So
I'm sorry, but that was the worst bill they ever created. And then 9/11 came, and then now they changed it to where it's so much more money, plus the other stuff you can get.
They pay for books and everything. And they pay for so much. You can go to just about any school anytime with the money.
You get paid to live. You get paid money to live too.
Yeah. Not back in the day. I had to work, and I was on the track team. I was like an RA. I was doing everything to make ends meet back then. So it was, I mean, it worked. I was prayerful the whole time, and I just feel like it was a blessed time, but I had to put the work in, and so I did.
So you went to school?
Yes.
What'd you go to school for?
So I went to school as a biochemistry. That was my major, was biochemistry. At one point, I was like, man, this was too hard. I tried to change to biotechnology. I was like, nah. About a few weeks, I switched back to biochemistry. So I graduated from Rutgers University, Cook College. They call us tree huggers because it's natural science with a degree in biochemistry. And I also was doing pre-med. I was on the track team and met some folks and started talking about the future, what you're going to do, what can you do with biochemistry. And so, it's really important, the folks you hang around with. That's a fact. And most of them were pre-med. And so I just got into doing pre-med, and it's like, hey, I could do this. And then I got into pre-med and got accepted into medical school, et cetera. And I went through the military medical school, USUS out in Maryland.
Yeah, it's amazing because right now I know some corpsmen who are going through the nursing school up in Sacramento for the Navy.
Oh, cool.
And yeah, it's amazing. And I'm trying to get my son to do it because I'm for the amount of money you can make as a nurse. Sometimes it doesn't make sense to, if you can't get the military to pay for it or somebody else to pay for it, the amount of student loan sometimes isn't worth going on to be a doctor anymore these days.
Yeah, and that is a true statement. And back then, there were the options. Like, you apply for a bunch of medical schools and see where you got into. And I got into a few, but when you start to weigh the balance of you pay for this medical school or you go to uniformed service university and get paid lieutenant rank while you're going through, and you get your time will be served if you stay 20 years, and you're getting your paycheck, and they provide everything. Now you still have to do the military portion, which for me at that point was no big deal because I've already been through. So about 1/3 or so of the students who go through uniform services, have never been in the military. So they tend to match us up with a non-military person to help them through boot camp and stuff like that. So it's the cost for medical school now and the trajectory of how the world is moving, where the issue, a lot of folks are going on the internet and playing doctor, it makes it even more difficult. And so there are lots of more options. It's not just medical school or bust. You can be a nurse. And within the nursing realm, there are different things that you can do as well. You can go into anesthesia. You have the physician assistant program. So I didn't know a lot of those things coming into all of this. So I just was rolling with the punches.
I had no idea that I could have went to PA school as a corps.
Right? That's the thing. They don't educate us. And we didn't have the internet back then, right? 5-inch floppy disk.
I'm sorry, who's dating who now, age-wise?
Right? But I remember when I was in Colorado, I was stationed out in Colorado Springs, and I was so determined to go to school. And they started this IT thing. And I was like, okay, I want to learn about computers. 5-inch floppy disk. Shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, when I was in physical therapy, because I was corpsman, went to specialty school. I tell the story where after 18 months in, they're like, okay, it's time for a ship or specialty school. And I'm like, what specialty school is not on a ship? And they're like, physical therapy. And I'm like, that's what I want to do. So I became a physical therapy assistant. But at the time in the service, if you know anything about medical people, I did everything like a physical therapist would do.
Yeah.
The difference was our physical therapist would sign what we did, right, and said yes, that's what happened. Well, we had a Cybex machine at the time, which did your legs, and you'd have to put the floppy disk in there to get it to work. Yeah.
Dating yourself too, Ed. I'm sorry.
I'm old. Yeah.
Oh boy.
All of us look great at our age, so we'll move on from there.
Yes.
So you finally did. Because you have a PhD, right?
MD.
Okay.
Yeah. Medical doctor.
So you went to medical school.
Yeah.
And you got done with medical school, and then you served 20 years?
Yeah. So after medical school, you have to do your specialty training. And I just stumbled upon, it seemed again, a training in radiation. So I did my specialty in radiation oncology out in at Northwestern in Chicago. So that's where I train in my specialty. And so once I'm finished, and the military sent me to do that training in the civilian sector, which was beautiful. Walter Reed and Navy Bethesda, they had no slot at the time for my specialty. So I end up just getting a slot. It was free for the folks because they didn't have to pay me. The military was paying me to go as a free labor, so to speak. So I did my specialty training out in Northwestern Chicago. And then I went back into the military and I served as a radiation oncologist. So the remainder of my time in the military, I was a doctor. I was in San Antonio at BAMC is what it was called back then.
Yeah, I went to a physical therapy school in San Antonio at Sam Hinge, one of the Houston, Texas.
Yeah, it was like Sam C. North and Sam.
My son went there for AIT, and so when I went back, to see him a few years ago going to AIT, I was like, man, this place has changed.
Yes, everything's changed. It changed.
The Riverwalk. It was still cool.
Yeah. The Riverwalk. Everybody go there. So I did the BAMC thing, San Antonio for a couple of years. And then the remainder of my time, I was at Walter Reed. So I closed down the old Walter Reed in Washington, D.C. and transitioned over to the new Walter Reed. But then in between, I went to the clinic out in Virginia. So I spent a lot of time, about 13 years or so, in the Washington, D.C., Virginia, Maryland area, practicing as a cancer doctor.
Wait, so when you have to put in 20 years, did that count your 4 years as enlisted?
Yes. Yes. And one of the things they did not tell me, I had such bad short timers attitude, I didn't get that E because I was like, let me out of here. Let me out of here. I got to go to college and stuff. I think I was like maybe 2 weeks short of getting the enlisted time. So for those who are enlisted listening and transitioning over, make sure you understand how much time you need to do to get that E if you're close, because it makes a world of difference in the
What do you
pay.
mean E?
So it's like extra time. So you would get paid. So I was getting paid a lieutenant with prior service. So it goes by the amount of years that you serve prior. And if you pass a certain time, you get extra money. So
Okay.
it's like an E that goes with it. That's the
So
best
like
way I remember
if you were
it.
4+ years, you mean?
Yes, like you go over by a certain amount, then you'll get that E. And it's back then, it was quite a bit of money. I don't remember why. It was like maybe an extra $300 or something like that per pay period. So, but it worked out. So it was all good.
No, I just because they said you had to do 20. So you have 4 years, let's just say 4 years prior. Your ROTC doesn't count.
No, but
So,
the time during the medical school would count because we did the boot camp before we went in. We did training out in San Antonio, Texas. And then during the whole time, we would still be doing a lot of stuff within the military as well. So we still had to take our PT test. We still had to do all the military requirement, regardless if anyone who was Marine who joined, they would do the Navy requirement, and then the Air Force, and then the Army. So we all still had to
Air Force didn't have to do anything.
Pretty much. I used to ride the bike. I think they may have changed it to like a half a mile run.
Give me the remote control. See if I can change it.
Yeah, we make so much fun of them. It was like, yeah, we're just jealous, I would suppose. But
it's Air Force, and it just depends on what part of the Air Force you're in, because there are some really tough people in the Air Force too. So not knocking them all, just some of them.
Okay, we retract some of them. Our Air Force colleague, we retract.
All right. So how long were you in medical school?
Well, medical school is 4 years.
Okay.
So the whole trajectory of becoming a physician, total, including college, depends on your specialty, for me, is total of 13 years. So 4 years undergrad, 4 years college, 4 years for medical school, 1 year internship, and then 4 years or up to 6 years for your specialty training. So my specialty training was 4 years, plus the internships are a total of 5. For some like surgeon or neurosurgeon.
No, the reason I'm asking is because you said you had to give 20 years. So I was trying to figure out how many years as a doctor you had to give, which was 11 years.
Yeah.
You did 5 years.
Those did not count. The years in college did not count.
But I thought you said when you're going to medical school, it counted.
Yes, afterwards though. So it didn't count unless you do the 20s. So Uniform Service University, you owe 7 after you get out. So you have to pay back 7 years. But if you just do 7 years and then get out, those 4 years doesn't count. If you go to the 20 and over, then they add the 4 at the end.
So then you get the pay for being for 24 years.
Yes.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Just trying to understand. I've not had a doctor on who's done it through the military before, so I was trying to understand.
Oh, no problem.
What I'm hearing is and things are changing with AI and everything that's going on, and the way that surgeries will be done down the road, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to need that person with a specialty to make sure there's not a problem.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're still going to need the person to go through the information. So at this point, AI is very good to do some of the mundane work.
Right.
So the documentations and, the dictating and some of that kind of work. Mundane.
And it's still, and even on that little minute stuff, it still can hallucinate and say other things, and you have to be careful with it. I use it a lot. I do a ton. I was amazed how much I use it these days. I've been using it since 22, but then in the last 7 months, I've learned how to vibe code. I learned how to do so many things that I'm amazed what I can do.
Oh, wow. No, I haven't gone that deep yet. But when we do use it for doing dictations and things of patients' information, we still have to go back and check, because then it'll put erroneous information, and then the patient may come back and say, I never said that. So you still have to do that human portion of it too.
And they also use it. My wife works for Kaiser. So they use it for the doctors, getting back to the email and everything. They still have to verify before they go out, but it writes everything for them and does everything to make. And I'm like, it speeds up the time for them to do more just doctor work. And that's like me. I do so much with all the shows I do. And then I own a mortgage company. So I still do mortgages and everything else because I enjoy helping vets get into homes. So I still do all that plus everything else. And people go, how can you do that? And it's like, well, I use AI.
Got a virtual assistant, right?
Well, I actually have a team that cut up my stuff, virtual assist, true virtual assistants. And then I have a person who oversees that team. And then I have a person who oversees that team. And they're all actual virtual assistants. But then I also have AI assistants who do a lot of the other stuff. Some of the stuff that my assistants used to do, I have AI do it. And someone the other day says, because I they gave me a list of what they did for me that day, and I dropped it into Claude, which is the new one I'm using. I'm like, can you, in this co-work part, I'm like, can you handle any of the stuff that my assistant does? And it took over 3/4 of it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And because it's mundane, checking emails for certain things and going on to Podmatch for certain things. And I don't need a person to do that. I just need it to go check it and tell me what's there and what needs to be done. And then I can tell it what to handle.
Oh, awesome. I got to get more into this AI thing. It's limited what I do with it currently, but I know that it's expanding quite a bit. So
do you do a podcast?
I did. I only did 13 episodes, and the podcast was about intimacy after. That's the title of it, Intimacy After. And the issue that I was running into is a lot of patients after cancer treatment that would come to me, and a lot of them, I would say, are very apprehensive about talking about intimacy after cancer treatment. And so it depends on what cancer was being treated. So if it's prostate cancer, breast cancer, if they had body changes, etc. So I went into each of those where I just talk about intimacy after cancer, intimacy after the loss of a loved one, or, intimacy after weight gain or weight loss, and intimacy, just really focusing on that. And what are some of the things that folks can do to get over hurdles in achieving intimacy with their partners.
Why did you quit it?
I think I stopped it. Let me think. No one ever really asked me that before.
I'm so sorry. And for most people who start podcasts, people don't understand 90% of them fail after episode 3. Of the 10% left over, 90% of them fell by episode 20.
Okay. No, I think I backed off because of everything I was doing, and I would need to transition. There's only but so much you could talk about with intimacy after, and the next step would be to bring people on to discuss challenges, and that would bring some issues to it. So after I hit that 13th episode, I had a decision to make. Am I going to switch gear and talk about other things, or will I try to get people to come on and talk about intimacy? And after thinking about it, I was like, no, it's challenging. I talked to a few folks and they weren't willing to discuss their challenges. So I thought that was sort of a stop block. The information is great, and it will live on, green info. But it came to an end, I think, because of the next step would not have been something I'll be able to carry on long term, as far as having guests on to discuss about their intimacy.
Yeah. Well, I think it's important. I was just seeing if it was because of what I run into, and I'm almost finished with it, is I do so many episodes and I have to have a team to do it. It gets expensive. Mm-hmm. And I created an app where you can drop the MP4 in from the top, and it auto edits it, the audio part. It does, so it does all the way through, and also set it up for distribution.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have it all done, except for I'm very particular of how I want these shorts to look when it cuts it up, because what people understand when you do podcasts, yes, you have your audio file that's the 30 minutes, if that's what it is, or the actual YouTube video that's long. You got to put it has to be transcribed with the words across it so people can see on YouTube. And then you need to cut it up into like a 10 to 12 minute episode. You need to cut it up into a 3 and a 5 minute episode. And then you got to cut it up in shorts. to get it out there to do everything, and do all that's expensive. Well, I wanted to have a system that I just drop at the top and it does everything automatically for me. And I'm pretty much 85% of the way there.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I did a lot of the editing myself. I used some stuff, and it was a lot of work, but it was a labor of love.
This is auto, man. I drop it in there. It auto detects, it listens to it, and then it gives you 3 choices of which one you wanted to use.
Wow, you gotta probably send that to me. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, well, if you start your podcast back.
Well, if I start my podcast back, it can't be about intimacy. Unless you're going to be one of my guests.
Cancer, sorry.
It doesn't have to be about cancer. It could be after loss, transitioning from the military. How does that affect your libido? The topics can be uncomfortable for some.
Well, the big thing I run into, that was like my Anna Edison podcast, which was your greatest accomplishments come from your greatest defeats. Yeah. I stopped it for 6 months because people wouldn't talk about their failures anymore.
Oh, wow.
I had enough, because the whole purpose of a business thing, and you talk about failure, because that's how you're pushing the envelope. It's going to happen. You got to learn about it and move on. And then I came back. The problem is, once you stop, your algorithm dies, and to start the same amount of people pulling down the episodes and everything else, you can't get it started again. You're better off starting a new podcast at that point.
Oh, well, that's good intel. I don't know. I enjoy being a guest, and I'm doing so much on the side. I'm still doing, physician work. I'm doing this work. I'm helping other folks. I'm doing the Q4CD.com, helping veterans. So it's
CD.
So Q4CD is the Questions for Cancer Doctor, and from this is where I work with the veterans who are going through questions when they're trying to get their VA benefits done. So if they have been diagnosed with cancer, or for some reason don't cover under the PACT Act, or just want to know medically what it is that they can do in regards to anything around cancer or toxin exposure, because that's my lane, anything biochemistry, biological, radiation, and if they've had cancer and recovering from that. So I help folks with that. So if they go to Q4CD, the number 4, CD.com, they'll be able to find out what's there for veterans. So I just...
You do Nexus letters and DBQs?
Yes, I do Nexus letters, but again, for toxin exposure. And I've had folks come to me wanting Nexus letter, and I'll tell them that, well, you don't need a Nexus letter because it's covered under the PACT Act. And some would still try to get it because they want their package to be complete and they don't have to go around in circle.
Well, the problem is so I went through finally and got my benefits, and I got to 90%, and they didn't get me for my PTSD because it was diagnosed 2 months after I submitted my package. And then 2 other things I didn't get. Well, now I'm going back and putting that back in.
Yeah.
Because of when I went through, I started my own veterans benefit company, but I did it to not, I don't want people to make money off of vets like us. Like I didn't mind the guy I paid, but there's some of these companies charging 5 times. So I created this thing called VA Claim Bridge just recently, which is an app. You go online, you can upload your VA letter, you can upload all your different things, and it'll tell you how to go through the process. Part of this, I also have a marketplace to connect with people like yourself to if they need to find out information on things, and it just has that marketplace where you can go to it and find if they need a Nexus letter or DBQ, they'll be able to go to those places, and they'll be verified that they're not going to take advantage of it, because there's some mills out there who just send a horrible letter and you just pay nothing.
I saw some of these Nexus letter because I work with VSO, and so anyone who's credentialed with the VA, I do work with them, but folks come to me directly, and what I've ended up doing is created sort of a filter. So everyone has to go through the consultation first, and the consultation is like around $300, but you may not need anything else after that. And I'm very clear, very frank about what you may need. If you need a DBQ, I'm limited to the DBQ that I'm going to do. I'm not going to do a DBQ for back sprain or PTSD.
Right, you're doing it way.
I'm an oncologist, exactly. And I've seen other sites. And the thing is, a lot of times people get sticker shock from the Nexus letter, but they're not cheap. They're thousands of dollars. And I still trying to keep mine as low as possible. But I will tell folks what to do, where to go, and if they can't do my service, this is what you need to do. But as a specialist, Yeah, I've seen it range up to $5,000.
Yeah, on average, I've seen 2,200 for PTSD and 2,200 for other ones, and then I know other people are $600 to review all your medical records, and then $400 for the Nexus letter. And you need a Nexus, you need it separate. You can't have one. It's like a buddy letter. You should have it for each item. But because I had a friend of mine, last week, and we saw him in Vegas, and he's helping his dad through Vietnam, and he has cancer from Agent Orange, right? And that's sometimes. That's not only the PACT Act or the Vietnam, those are presumptive, which means if you have it and you were there, you got it.
Yes. The issue now with that,
Toyota.
Well, the issue with that part, though, Ed, is that sometimes if you're already going through the treatment, right, because you're 100% while you're getting treated.
Right.
After the treatment, that goes down. So it really depends on what's being documented. And that's where I help folks to document to make sure they get the maximum of what's possible by what's in their record. And if the person is an oncologist and if they're not, they wouldn't know what to look for, how to document stuff. So being enlisted and an officer, I'm able to better bring a lot of this stuff together for folks. When I see them through first for the consultation, everything is on the website as to what the costs and stuff are. I will talk to people. I've done, pro bonos in the past. It just depends on the case, right? But I'm not the person who you can come to and then say, we pay later, because I'm not like a lawyer or anything like that. I can't do the payment plan after you get I saw something, so they get like 6 times your increase.
Right.
Or is that for months? It's like, oh my gosh. So if you have an increase of $1,200. Oh, it's a lot. So no,
they don't go after those people. They go after the people who are 10% and try to get them to 100%. So they get 5 times
that amount,
which is $4,000. So that's $20,000.
And that's per 6 months, the minimum of like 4 to 6 months payback. But yeah, no, it's
because
just
some
flat
companies
rate.
who do a flat fee of like $5,000 or whatever it is. And I'm okay with that, because most people's first, if they get you to a good number, and there should be a money back guarantee on whoever does it. There's a guy, Raider HQ, who does a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube. He's an actual VA Raider who just retired, and he started his own company. And that's, he's just there. He doesn't want to help you. He wants you to be able to do it yourself. That's my goal. You through this VA claim bridge, there's all these tools that you can find out all the stuff that's presumptive, which has to do with cancers from Vietnam and all. And because the other problem you run into, like you said, while you're going through the treatment, you get 100%. But then when the treatment's done, like it's like if you got
you go down to 0.
Exactly.
It's like, what?
Especially with cancer, and people don't understand that.
They don't understand.
And that is, so we were talking to somebody about, they were going in for the cancer part, and it was like, no. Don't go in for the cancer part. Go in for this, and this, because the cancer is 10%.
Yeah. So it's a matter, and that's where I help folks. And the Nexus letter, it has to be like written by a physician, but you want a physician in the specialty that you're going in, right? So if you have for PTSD, you want to deal with psychologists, psychiatrists. If you're going to go in for like sleep apnea, you want to talk to a pulmonologist, et cetera. If you want to do cancer, then Q4CD.com. That's what we're here for, to help folks with them.
And
is
it just yourself and the Q4CD?
Just myself, and I have like assistants to get some of the
reason
things
I'm asking
through.
is like, my perfect world would be to where we had every one of those specialists to be able to be found, because they're not able to be found. Most PA, so I know a corpsman who became a PA, and he does all the emergency stuff, and he does Nexus letters for people, and he has certain things he'll do. He'll go through, it takes him 30 days because he wants to review the record, go through everything, and then write the stuff. And everybody's different. What I'm getting at, it'd be nice to have somebody who specializes in sleep apnea, because they tell you it could be any one of these 3 types of people to get a sleep apnea letter.
Yeah, they do. And so because of the specialty, right, I'm radiation and all that kind of stuff, and cancer, there are other folks other physicians I can have come under me that I've already signed agreement with, but they're like surgeons and, other folks that I'm working with. But I don't like to stray out of my lane, because there's so many other folks, and it can be, I don't want it to be a shark where then the overhead becomes a lot of problems. So just working with my small team, I think is more than enough. But I hear you. It would be great if there's just one place or a marketplace, like you're saying, where you could go in and find
And
the
that's
person you're looking for.
And that's why I'm building the one I'm building. And I'm not charging. You can be on there for a year. I'm not charging. I just get on there and help vets. That's all I care about.
Okay. Well, let me know when you're ready. You got my website right there.
I'm ready to build out that part of it. So I got to start building out the marketplace.
Okay.
My MVP is built way better than everybody's seen. It was like, oh my God, this is because what you do is when you upload your letter, it also then will tell you what secondary conditions you should connect to what you have already done.
Oh, wow.
And then it tells you in there how to connect it. And I also have a little area where it says how you need to say it and everything else. It's I did what I went through, the headache I went through. And so here's what happened. A ranger helped me really well, but he didn't tell me to certain things. And then, my first check I got was 36 grand. Well, it could have been $22,000 more if I would have been told to keep uploading my stuff for PTSD. And, and if he would have put, so there's like 5 different theories. He put my sleep apnea under direct, which is wrong because I was not diagnosed in the military with it. You can only be direct if it's diagnosed in the military. So you really need to know these theories. And how I found out all this stuff was watching Raider Head HQ on YouTube. And that's who helped. And I give him props all the time because he was doing it for free. He didn't care. He didn't want to be paid. No.
Wow. Yeah. So that's amazing. That's amazing. So you have to know how to connect the dots, and it sounds like you're on a good path here. And there it is.
Here's my problem. I have so much going on in many different areas, and I don't want to give them up. And that's my problem.
So you're going to get burnt out if you don't. And that's where I have stepped back and paused. So now my clinic is sort of locums. I'll cover for physicians here and there. And I'm trying to do just what is part of my purpose. And that's it. So if I'm able to do my clinic and able to help the veterans and guide them through whatever they need to do, Nexus or DBQ or whomever, or make referrals, in touch with the VSOs because they know when someone needs a Nexus letter. And the Nexus letters, I've seen some that's like half a page. There is the language isn't there, the connection between the diagnosis and the patient's symptoms aren't there. So they're just really sad. There's no way anyone is going to look at that Nexus letter if it's not written appropriately and using the word at least as likely not, could have been caught, none of that. So it depends. And they also, the thing I found out reviewing some of these other Nexus letter is that they'll have their nurses or someone just write a draft and then the doctor will sign it.
And I actually have mine this system will create the Nexus letter for you. You can take to your doctor, but the whole purpose, but even the Raider HQ is like, Ed, you don't want to do that because of the new AI that they're doing through the military. And it wasn't lying. It's just, what got to a point where I want people who know how to write Nexus letters to be in the marketplace, and only those people who know how to do it, who are doctors. And that's what they do. But one other thing you have to remember, there is a 100-mile rule for getting your Nexus letter and DBQ that you're supposed to do it within 100 miles. But if you go outside of that, you just have to acknowledge how you got connected with this person.
Yeah. And so the DBQ, unless it's something different, they will allow for DBQ. I have multiple licenses, right? So I'm licensed in Illinois, North Carolina, Georgia, and Maryland, which covers DC as well. So if anyone wants a DBQ from those states, there's some things that you can do virtually as well.
Right. And I'm just, because a lot of people say you can't go outside of that. You can. Because I have a guy who wrote some stuff for me, and I just told him he was on my podcast. And we connected, and that's why I went with him. There's nobody in my area that I knew, but I knew him. And then one of the Raider guy was saying, what I said is the reason they did telemedicine I have agoraphobia. I don't like leaving my house. And so that is the reason I use this person. You just have to give a reason. They want to make sure you're not pay for playing these things. And you just have to.
Yeah. So the reason a lot of folks give for them is that depends on, for radiation oncologists, there's a lot of folks who are radiation oncologists, and then there are those who are just, physician in the military. But to have someone who has both credential of being military and a radiation oncologist, that's very far and few in between. And then to discuss specifically what it is that they're looking for, I may not be in Maryland, but we can discuss and go through things accordingly with that. So those are what we've been using in documenting as well. So I do have a license there. I've lived in Maryland. I've been on the Maryland Board of Physicians. I've been there for quite
I'm just
a while.
saying, but if somebody from Texas called you and wanted you to do something,
the Nexus, of course, yes, I can do Texas.
You just have to all I'm saying is explain how you got there. When you put your stuff in, just tell the VA raters that you're going to see your file, how you came and found this person. They're going to want to know that. So just put that information in there.
Okay. Thanks for that tidbit. I will.
Well, no, not you, but I'm even talking to the other person.
Yeah.
Because they're the vet who found you needs to go, if the rater's like, whoa, this must be just one of those pay for play things that we now are auditing, or whatever.
Oh.
And it's not. And some VA raters, they're against getting the vet stuff. They're not there to help the vet. So you're going to have to run into that. So the way you can protect yourself is to state it up front. So there is no question in their head how you found this person, and or they think you're just searched for this person to get this letter.
Okay. Makes sense.
I'm just saying, I'm just people, because I hear it all the time where they're like, oh, there's a 100-mile rule, or he's even said it, and he's like, no, you can get around.
There's no Nexus letters. There's no limitations, but the DBQ, there are limitations for the DBQ in that the physician you're seeing, they need to have certain specialty, and they have to be licensed in your state, even though it can be done virtually.
So you have to be licensed. So you have to be licensed. Like if I wanted a letter from you in California, you had to be licensed in California.
I'd have to be licensed in California unless I am doing just a complete records review.
Right.
So if it's just a records review DBQ, then yes. But I cannot do a telehealth like we're doing now and say, okay, I cannot do that if I don't have a license in California. But
that's a product, telehealth. What service do you use to do the telehealth?
So currently I have Practice Q, which is like an EMR service, electronic medical record, for folks to upload their documents. And I also, embedded within that, they have a video portal. But I also have
that into mine too. So
okay, yeah, but you can also get a letter, a BHA from Zoom.
Right. But
so I have a BHA from Zoom also.
So what I did is I was like, what's the easiest way to not have to keep uploading documents and putting stuff everywhere, have it in one place. And so I'm like, they're already doing it in the system for the AI to help them. So let's keep it in here. And now can we connect it with the video part so that you can see everything on their side of what they upload and everything, so you can help them at the same time.
Exactly. So they can see everything. We can, and then the platform I'm using, we can text back and forth. We can schedule appointments in between. I'm very big on FaceTime. So if there's an issue as far as telehealth, and if I have a question, so even when I'm doing my DBQs or my Nexus letter, I do it in 3 phases, so they don't have to pay lump sum. They pay to get it started. Then after I have the draft, we have another 15-minute review, so you could see the draft, and I can let you know if there's anything additional needed. Then the payment is made, and then once I finalize it, you can go onto your portal. It's like a medical doctor portal, and you can download your Nexus letter. So everything is on that portal, HIPAA regulated and everything verified. So I don't do anything outside of that portal. So try to make sure that everyone's covered.
Right. Yeah. You don't want to get, fraud, not fraud, but you don't want to get hacked.
Yeah.
So nothing worse than that. So.
Nothing worse than that. And these are folks' health records. So I treat it as such. It's almost like my own medical little clinic where they could freely upload things. And I like the fact that I could text communicate with them and say, hey, there's something up here you need to look at. And I like that it's broken up, because first they would just pay everything up front, and it's on the website, but everything is just tiered base. And so right now it's like $2,100, and you paid like the $800, the $700, and $600. It just break it down at each step. And I don't go over that. And if there's some kind of hardship, sometimes we'll do a discount on it, because at the same time, it's work. It's a lot of records to go through. And my Nexus letter, I've never done a Nexus letter that's not at least 2.5 pages, because you have to do all the link. And I always start my Nexus letter with my qualification, the fact that I was in the military, I'm a radiation oncologist, biochemistry, Therefore, I am more than qualified to review this information. And then I go into breaking down why is it that exposure to PCB or exposure to this could have caused the person's bladder cancer. And even though they're not, I was stationed at Fort McClellan in Alabama. And so around the city in Anniston, they were exposed to chemicals, and they had received some compensation because there were cancer clusters there. However, Fort McClellan is not recognized as a part of the PACT Act or any of the yet there are documentations for things like that. So that's what I do. I go into things like that and say, hey, it was already proven here, and I make the link and go through. So I just based on I was there at Fort McClellan. I got exposed to who knows what, but
well, it's like Camp Pendleton. I was stationed there, and I have 50% for my sinuses, for sinusitis, which is unheard of unless I was buying a burn pit. And it's because how Camp Pendleton is, and it's in my medical record. And unless you're a VSO or somebody else, you don't have access to ILA report to find out what's the problem on each base, And
but I know I've been researching this for a long time because of my own self-knowledge and all of that. But once you start digging and you finding these information, it just keeps coming. And even the folks who are in the Air Force, now they had put information out a few years ago that there were exposure and things on the airplane that they could have been exposed to. So it's amazing the things that we got into, didn't even know. We were just doing our work, right? Doing our duty, not being aware of the exposures that we were going through. So I'm here to help any way I can.
Yeah, my dad died of hairy cell leukemia when I was 12 from Agent Orange. He worked on the airplanes over in Vietnam. He was a mechanic, and that's how he got exposed to it. And, and that thing either killed you or later killed you, but really killed you up front with cancers. Yeah.
Exactly. And some of these things, and because I'm a radiation oncologist, I know about radiation biology. I know about the history and the latency, meaning how long it can take before it manifests itself. And it doesn't have to be, and some folks don't come forward because they'll say, oh, well, my MOS was XYZ. I wasn't in the motor pool. But you're on the base and you may have to go to the motor pool to deliver a package because you had a parcel. You don't know. So I like talking to the veterans to see what their actual work was like, what they did. Because when I was enlisted, I was in the motor pool. I had my 5-ton truck with water blivet, right? Because we were doing decon stuff. But then I was downrange with the 329 Field Artillery. I was with the 112 Infantry. Because of my job, I was with a lot of the grunts, if you will. So I was out there in the field all the time. So noise exposure, all of that stuff, lobbying range stuff, downrange. So I know the lingo. I wasn't just a typist in an office when I was enlisted. I was out and about doing a lot of stuff. So it just really depends on working backwards, right? If you have a diagnosis you're concerned, that's where the initial consultation comes from.
Gotcha. Well, and that's like, so I was at Camp Pendleton, the regional hospital, right? And the radiation leakage from X-ray and everything else, because they didn't have the walls as thick as they should have been, and all the other stuff. What I mean? There's things you don't think about, that you could be exposed in a hospital to radiation, other stuff that you didn't realize that most people would say no to. But if you have to, but now there's a reason there's a new hospital closer to the front, because of the fact that not everything was built properly. That's why we have asbestos in tiles back in the 50s still. Right?
Yeah. But the thing, and I always tell people what you don't know can hurt you. You don't know what you don't know. But back then, that's what they did. They used lead in the paint for whatever, and it looks good. It lasts longer. But now we're finding out lead is no good for you. They will not, and I understand they will not, and I don't see the military ever succumbing to the whole thing about smoking, because they're given they used to have the cigarettes in the C rations back in the day, and they used to give you your 10-minute smoke break and all of that, but they won't take responsibility for that because they're saying it's a personal decision. I never smoked. I'd go do something else or end up doing extra work, but it doesn't matter. You don't have to link it to smoking. But if you had issues while you were in the military and developed certain symptoms or certain diagnoses, then you go around the other way. Again, the whole connection, you don't try to come with everything heads on. There are other scenarios and other issues that can be addressed.
Yeah, that's why I do so well in the mortgage industry. I'm serious, because that's how it is. You look at where you need to be and you figure out, it's like a puzzle, for most of these. And that I can do a VA loan in 8 days. Purchase.
Wow.
Yeah, so I know how to, that's what I've gotten to down to systems that I can get things done as fast as that appraisal gets in, is the fastest we can close that transaction if needed.
Oh, that's fantastic. A VA, I never understand how folks get into that banking. So every time I travel, I see so many different name banks. It's like, why there are banks everywhere?
I know, but not so VA loans. Everybody's like, that's 30, 45 days. No, it's not.
No,
it doesn't need to be that long.
Mine was like 2 weeks or something. And then they have the refinance or the Earl. Yeah, I just did an Earl, got it down to 5% and did a good little job. So
and those things are easy because they don't even look at income or any of that. It's name, address, social security number. That's pretty much it. Sign it. And the thing about that's a 12-day because we have right of rescissions after you sign. So you can't, here's the timeline. So when you sign from the beginning, you can't sign loan documents until the 8th day. Then you have 3 days after that for the right of rescission, and you can't count Sundays. So that's usually if they do it right, it's 12 days. Same with a purchase refund. You can get it done on the 8th day. Before go ahead.
No, I was going to ask. So you just got into mortgaging. You have your own mortgage company.
Yeah, I got into mortgages back in the 90s when I got out. I was in San Diego, fell into it in 93, 94, and then stayed in it. And then I do talk radio here locally. I've been doing that since 2018.
Enough radio. Wow.
AM radio, 1360. And so I do a real estate show. It's called Real Estate Jerky. We give you something to chew on.
That's a nice name.
You don't forget it.
Real Estate Jerky, give you something to chew on. Oh, that's funny. That's good.
So Real Estate Jerky. And then and we have a ton of listeners. I mean, I'm amazed how many people listen to us because I have a co-host who's older than me, and we're perfect match for what we do and talk and everything else. So.
Phenomenal. That's awesome.
It was nice having you on the show today. Is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you?
No, you were awesome. I think we covered quite a bit, and no, I think that is it. We covered quite a bit, and I wanted to know, even though I talk about cancers, yes, one other thing. The business that I do with Q4CD.com, right now I'm focused on the veteran, but I also do cancer evaluation. So if someone is newly diagnosed with cancer and they have questions regarding radiation, especially what to expect, it's not a second opinion, but it's like an advocacy to help you go through knowing what questions to ask, etc. So that is part of what I do. I do focus on breast cancer and prostate cancer, and we do have books and stuff as well that goes along with that. Those are just like the bread and butter that we did in the military. And having done so much with prostate cancer, I do a lot coverage on prostate cancer, trying to have folks understanding the Gleason score. I break things down for them and just hold their hands through helping them making the best decision that they need to make for themselves. Because a lot of times when they have the appointment and they hear the word cancer, they don't get a lot from the appointments, and they don't know what questions to ask or how to engage with their cancer team. So that's something that I do as well. So if they go to q4cd.com and scroll down to the bottom, saying after the frequently asked questions, if you're newly diagnosed with cancer and just need advocacy or guidance, I do provide that as well. It's 101.
Great. Dr. Sam Williams, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Ed. This was fun.
My pleasure.